The Discourses of Epictetus. Translated by George Long. Book 4. Chapter 1. Part 2. About freedom. What then is that which makes a man free from hindrance and makes him his own master? For wealth does not do it, nor consulship, nor provincial government, nor royal power, but something else must be discovered. What then is that which when we write makes us free from hindrance and unimpeded? The knowledge of the art of writing. What then is it in playing the lute? The science of playing the lute. Therefore in life also it is the science of life. You have then heard in a general way, but examine the thing also in the several parts. Is it possible that he who desires any of the things which depend on others can be free from hindrance? No. Is it possible for him to be unimpeded? No. Therefore, he cannot be free. Consider then, whether we have nothing which is in our own power only, or whether we have all things, or whether some things are in our own power, and others in the power of others. What do you mean? When you wish the body to be entire, sound, is it in your power or not? It is not in my power. When you wish it to be healthy? Neither is this in my power. When you wish it to be handsome? Nor is this. Life or death? Neither is this in my power. Your body then is another's, subject to every man who is stronger than yourself. It is. But your estate, is it in your power to have it when you please, and as long as you please, and such as you please? No. And your slaves? No. And your clothes? No. And your house? No. And your horses? Not one of these things. And if you wish by all means your children to live, or your wife, or your brother, or your friends, is it in your power? This also is not in my power. Whether then have you nothing which is in your own power, which depends on yourself only, and cannot be taken from you, or have you anything of the kind? I know not. Look at the thing then thus, and examine it. Is any man able to make you assent to that which is false? No man. In the matter of assent, then you are free from hindrance and obstruction. Granted. Well, and can a man force you to desire to move towards that to which you do not choose? He can, for when he threatens me with death or bonds, he compels me to desire to move towards it. If then, you despise death and bonds, do you still pay any regard to him? No. Is then the despising of death an act of your own, or is it not yours? It is my act. It is your own act, then also to desire to move towards a thing, or is it not so? It is my own act. But to desire to move away from a thing, whose act is that? This also is your act. What then if I have attempted to walk, suppose another should hinder me? What part of you does he hinder? Does he hinder the faculty of assent? No, but my poor body. Yes, as he would do with a stone. Granted, but I no longer walk. And who told you that walking is your own act free from hindrance? For I said that this only was free from hindrance, to desire to move, but where there is need of body and its cooperation, you have heard long ago that nothing is your own. Granted this also. And who can compel you to desire what you do not wish? No man. And to propose or intend, or in short to make use of the appearances which present themselves, can any man compel you? He cannot do this, but he will hinder me when I desire from obtaining what I desire. If you desire anything which is your own, and one of the things which cannot be hindered, how will he hinder you? He cannot in any way. Who then tells you that he who desires the things that belong to another is free from hindrance? Must I then not desire health? By no means, nor anything else that belongs to another, for what is not in your power to acquire or to keep when you please, this belongs to another. Keep then far from it not only your hands, but more than that, even your desires. If you do not, you have surrendered yourself as a slave, you have subjected your neck, if you admire anything not your own, to everything that is dependent on the power of others and perishable, to which you have conceived a liking. Is not my hand my own? It is a part of your own body, but it is by nature earth, subject to hindrance, compulsion, and the slave of everything which is stronger. And why do I say your hand? You ought to possess your whole body as a porous loaded, as long as it is possible, as long as you are allowed. But if there be a press, and a soldier should lay hold of it, let it go, do not resist, nor murmur. If you do, you will receive blows, and nevertheless you will also lose the ass. But when you ought to feel thus with respect to the body, consider what remains to be done about all the rest which is provided for the sake of the body. When the body is an ass, all the other things are bits belonging to the ass, pack saddles, shoes, barley, fodder. Let these also go, get rid of them quicker and more readily than of the ass. When you have made this preparation, and have practiced this discipline, to distinguish that which belongs to another from that which is your own, the things which are subject to hindrance from those which are not, to consider the things free from hindrance to concern yourself, and those which are not free not to concern yourself, to keep your desire steadily fixed to the things which do concern yourself, and turned from the things which do not concern yourself. Do you still fear any man? No one. For about what will you be afraid? About the things which are your own, in which consists the nature of good and evil. And who has power over these things? Who can take them away? Who can impede them? No man can, no more than he can impede God. But will you be afraid about your body and your possessions, about things which are not yours, about things which in no way concern you? And what else have you been studying from the beginning than to distinguish between your own and not your own, the things which are in your power and not in your power, the things subject to hindrance and not subject? And why have you come to the philosophers? Was it that you may nevertheless be unfortunate and unhappy? You will then in this way, as I have supposed you to have done, be without fear and disturbance. And what is grief to you? For fear comes from what you expect, but grief from that which is present. But what further will you desire? For the things which are within the power of the will, as being good and present, you have a proper and regulated desire, but of the things which are not in the power of the will you do not desire anyone, and so you do not allow any place to that which is irrational, and impatient, and above measure hasty. When then you are thus affected towards things, what man can any longer be formidable to you? For what has a man which is formidable to another, either when you see him or speak to him or finally are conversant with him? Not more than one horse has with respect to another, or one dog to another, or one bee to another bee. Things indeed are formidable to every man, and when any man is able to confer these things on another or to take them away, then he too becomes formidable. How then is an acropolis, a stronghold or fortress, the seat of tyranny, demolished? Not by the sword, not by fire, but by opinion. For if we abolish the Acropolis which is in the city, can we abolish also that of fever, and that of beautiful women? Can we in a word abolish the Acropolis which is in us, and cast out the tyrants within us, whom we have daily over us, sometimes the same tyrants, at other times different tyrants? But with this we must begin, and with this we must demolish the Acropolis and eject the tyrants, by giving up the body, the parts of it, the faculties of it, the possessions, the reputation, magisterial offices, honors, children, brothers, friends, by considering all these things as belonging to others. And if tyrants have been ejected from us, why do I still shut in the Acropolis by a wall of circumvallation, at least on my account, for if it still stands, what does it do to me? Why do I still eject the tyrants' guards? For where do I perceive them? Against others they have their fasces, and their spears and their swords. But I have never been hindered in my will, nor compelled when I did not will. And how is this possible? I have placed my movements towards action, Mormon, in obedience to God. Is it His will that I shall have fever? It is my will also. Is it His will that I should move towards anything? It is my will also. Is it His will that I should obtain anything? It is my wish also. Does He not will? I do not wish. Is it His will that I die? Is it His will that I be put to the rack? It is my will then to die, it is my will then to be put to the rack. Who then is still able to hinder me contrary to my own judgment, or to compel me? No more than he can hinder or compel Zeus. Thus the more cautious of travelers also act. A traveler has heard that the road is infested by robbers. He does not venture to enter on it alone, but he waits for the companionship on the road either of an ambassador, or of a quaestor, or of a proconsul. And when he has attached himself to such persons, he goes along the road safely. So in the world the wise man acts. There are many companies of robbers, tyrants, storms, difficulties, losses of that which is dearest. Where is there any place of refuge? How shall he pass along without being attacked by robbers? What company shall he wait for that he may pass along in safety? To whom shall he attach himself? To what person generally? To the rich man, to the man of consular rank? And what is the use of that to me? Such a man is stripped himself, groans and laments. But what if the fellow companion himself turns against me and becomes my robber, what shall I do? I will be a friend of Caesar. When I am Caesar's companion, no man will wrong me. In the first place, that I may become illustrious, what things must I endure and suffer? How often and by how many must I be robbed? Then, if I become Caesar's friend, he also is mortal. And if Caesar from any circumstance becomes my enemy, where is it best for me to retire? Into a desert? Well, does fever not come there? What shall be done then? Is it not possible to find a safe fellow traveler, a faithful one, strong, secure against all surprises? Thus he considers and perceives that if he attaches himself to God, he will make his journey in safety. How do you understand attaching yourself to God? In this sense, that whatever God wills, a man also shall will, and what God does not will, a man also shall not will. How then shall this be done? In what other way than by examining the movements, ormas, the acts, of God and His administration? What has He given to me as my own and in my own power? What has He reserved to Himself? He has given to me the things which are in the power of the will, ta proeretica he has put them in my power free from impediment and hindrance. How was he able to make the earthy body free from hindrance? He could not, and accordingly he is subjected to the revolution of the whole, te ton olon periodo, possessions, household things, house, children, wife. Why then do I fight against God? Why do I will what does not depend on the will? Why do I will to have absolutely what is not granted to me? But how ought I to will to have things? In the way in which they are given, and as long as they are given. But he who is given takes away. Why then do I resist? I do not say that I shall be a fool if I use force to one who is stronger, but I shall first be unjust. For whence had I things when I came into the world? My Father gave them to me. And who gave them to him? And who made the sun? And who made the fruits of the earth? And who the seasons? And who made the connection of men with one another and their fellowship? Then after receiving everything from another and even yourself, are you angry and do you blame the giver if he takes anything from you? Who are you, and for what purpose did you come into the world? Did not he, God, introduce you here? Did he not show you the light? Did he not give you fellow workers, and perceptions and reason? And as whom did he introduce you here? Did he not introduce you as subject to death, and as one to live on the earth with a little flesh, and to observe his administration, and to join with him in the spectacle and the festival for a short time? Will you not then, as long as you have been permitted, after seeing the spectacle and the solemnity, when he leads you out, go with adoration of him and thanks for what you have heard and seen? No, but I would still enjoy the feast. The initiated too would wish to be longer in the initiation, and perhaps also those at Olympia to see other athletes, but the solemnity is ended. Go away like a grateful and modest man, make room for others. Others also must be born, as you were, and being born they must have a place, and houses and necessary things. And if the first do not retire, what remains? Why are you insatiable? Why are you not content? Why do you contract the world? Yes, but I would have my little children with me and my wife. What, are they yours? Do they not belong to the giver, and to him who made you? Then will you not give up what belongs to others? Will you not give way to him who is superior? Why then did he introduce me into the world on these conditions? And if the conditions do not suit you, depart. He has no need of a spectator who is not satisfied. He wants those who join in the festival, those who take part in the chorus, that they may rather applaud, admire, and celebrate with him the solemnity. But those who can bear no trouble, and the cowardly, he will not unwillingly see absent from the great assembly. Panegyries, for they did not when they were present behave as they ought to do at a festival nor fill up their place properly, but they lamented, found fault with the deity, fortune, their companions, not seeing both what they had, and their own powers, which they received for contrary purposes, the powers of magnanimity, of a generous mind, manly spirit, and what we are now inquiring about, freedom. For what purpose then have I received these things? To use them, how long? So long as he who has lent them chooses, what if they are necessary to me? Do not attach yourself to them, and they will not be necessary. Do not say to yourself that they are necessary, and then they are not necessary. This study you ought to practice from morning to evening, beginning with the smallest things and those most liable to damage, with an earthen pot, with a cup. Then proceed in this way to a tunic, to a little dog, to a horse, to a small estate in land, then to yourself, to your body, to the parts of your body, to your children, to your wife, to your brothers. Look all round and throw these things from you, which are not yours. Purge your opinions, so that nothing cleave to you of the things which are not your own, that nothing grow to you, that nothing give you pain when it is torn from you, and say, while you are daily exercising yourself as you do there. In the school, not that you are philosophizing, for this is an arrogant, offensive expression, but that you are presenting an assertor of freedom, for this is really freedom. To this freedom Diogenes was called by Antisthenes, and he said that he could no longer be enslaved by any man. For this reason, when he was taken prisoner, how did he behave to the pirates? Did he call any of them master? And I do not speak of the name, for I am not afraid of the word, but of the state of mind, by which the word is produced. How did he reprove them for feeding badly their captives? How was he sold? Did he seek a master? No, but a slave. And when he was sold, how did he behave to his master? Immediately he disputed with him and said to his master that he ought not to be dressed as he was, nor shaved in such a manner, and about the children he told him how he ought to bring them up. And what was strange in this? For if his master had bought an exercise master, would he have employed him in the exercises of the palestra as a servant or as a master? And so if he had bought a physician or an architect. And so in every matter, it is absolutely necessary that he who is skilled must be the superior of him who is not. Whoever then generally possesses the science of life, what else must he be than master? For who is master in a ship? The man who governs the helm. Why? Because he who will not obey him suffers for it. But a master can give me stripes. Can he do it then without suffering for it? So I also used to think. But because he cannot do it without suffering for it, for this reason it is not in his power, and no man can do what is unjust without suffering for it. And what is the penalty for him who puts his own slave in chains? What do you think that is? The fact of putting the slave in chains, and you also will admit this, if you choose to maintain the truth, that man is not a wild beast, but a tame animal. For when is a vine doing badly? When it is in a condition contrary to its nature. When is a cock? Just the same. Therefore a man also is so. What then is a man's nature? To bite, to kick, and to throw into prison and to behead? No, but to do good, to cooperate with others, to wish them well. At that time, then he is in a bad condition, whether you chose to admit it or not, when he is acting foolishly. Socrates then did not fare badly? No, but his judges and his accusers did, nor did Helvidius at Rome fare badly? No, but his murderer did. How do you mean? The same as you do when you say that a cock has not fared badly when he has gained the victory and been severely wounded. But that the cock has fared badly when he has been defeated and is unhurt, nor do you call a dog fortunate who neither pursues game nor labors, but when you see him sweating, when you see him in pain and panting violently after running. What paradox, unusual thing, do we utter if we say that the evil in everything is that which is contrary to the nature of the thing? Is this a paradox? For do you not say this in the case of all other things? Why then in the case of man only do you think differently? But because we say that the nature of man is tame, gentle, and social and faithful, you will not say that this is a paradox? It is not. What then is it a paradox to say that a man is not hurt when he is whipped, or put in chains, or beheaded? Does he not, if he suffers nobly, come off even with increased advantage and profit? But is he not hurt, who suffers in a most pitiful and disgraceful way, who in place of a man becomes a wolf, or viper or wasp. Well, then let us recapitulate the things which have been agreed on. The man who is not under restraint is free, to whom things are exactly in that state in which he wishes them to be, but he who can be restrained or compelled or hindered, or thrown into any circumstances against his will, is a slave. But who is free from restraint? He who desires nothing that belongs to, is in the power of, others. And what are the things which belong to others? Those which are not in our power either to have or not to have, or to have of a certain kind or in a certain manner. Therefore, the body belongs to another, the parts of the body belong to another, possession, property, belongs to another. If then you are attached to any of these things as your own, you will pay the penalty which it is proper for him to pay who desires what belongs to another. This road leads to freedom. This is the only way of escaping from slavery, to be able to say at last with all your soul, "Lead me, O Zeus, and thou, O Destiny, the way that I am bid by you to go." But what do you say, philosopher? The tyrant summons you to say something which does not become you. Do you say it or do you not? Answer me, let me consider. Will you consider now? But when you were in the school, what was it which you used to consider? Did you not study what are the things that are good and what are bad, and what things are neither one nor the other? I did. What then was our opinion? That just and honorable acts were good, and that unjust and disgraceful, foul, acts were bad. Is life a good thing? No. Is death a bad thing? No. Is prison? No. But what did we think about mean and faithless words and betrayal of a friend and flattery of a tyrant? That they are bad. Well then, you are not considering, nor have you considered, nor deliberated. For what is the matter for consideration? Is it whether it is becoming for me, when I have it in my power, to secure for myself the greatest of good things, and not to secure for myself, that is, not to avoid the greatest evils? A fine inquiry indeed, and necessary, and one that demands much deliberation. Man, why do you mock us? Such an inquiry is never made. If you really imagined that base things were bad and honorable things were good, and that all other things were neither good nor bad, you would not even have approached this inquiry, nor have come near it. But immediately you would have been able to distinguish them by the understanding as you would do, in other cases, by the vision. For when do you inquire if black things are white, if heavy things are light, and do not comprehend the manifest evidence of the senses? How then do you now say that you are considering whether things which are neither good nor bad ought to be avoided more than things which are bad? But you do not possess these opinions, and neither do these things seem to you to be neither good nor bad. But you think that they are the greatest evils, nor do you think those other things, mean and faithless words, etc., to be evils, but matters which do not concern us at all. For thus from the beginning you have accustomed yourself. Where am I? In the schools, and are any listening to me? I am discoursing among philosophers. But I have gone out of the school. Away with this talk of scholars and fools. Thus a friend is overpowered by the testimony of a philosopher, thus a philosopher becomes a parasite, thus he lets himself for hire for money. Thus in the Senate a man does not say what he thinks, in private, in the school, he proclaims his opinions. You are a cold and miserable little opinion, suspended from idle words as from a hair. But keep yourself strong and fit for the uses of life and initiated by being exercised in action. how do you hear the report, I do not say that your child is dead, for how could you bear that? But that your oil is spilled, your wine drunk up? Do you act in such a way that one standing by you while you are making a great noise, may say this only, philosopher, you say something different in the school. Why do you deceive us? Why, when you are only a worm, do you say that you are a man? I should like to be present when some of the philosophers is lying with a woman, that I might see how he is exerting himself, and what words he is uttering, and whether he remembers his title of philosopher, and the words which he hears, or says, or reads. And what is this to liberty? Nothing else than this, whether you who are rich choose or not. And who is your evidence for this? Who else than yourselves? Who have a powerful master, Caesar, and who live in obedience to his nod and motion, and who faint if he only looks at you with a scowling countenance, you who court old women and old men, and say, I cannot do this, it is not in my power. Why is it not in your power? Did you not lately contend with me, and say that you are free? But a prala has hindered me. Tell the truth then, slave, and do not run away from your masters, nor deny, nor venture to produce anyone to assert your freedom, Carpioton, when you have so many evidences of your slavery. And indeed when a man is compelled by love to do something contrary to his opinion, judgment, and at the same time sees the better, but has not the strength to follow it, one might consider him still more worthy of excuse as being held by a certain violent and in a manner a divine power. But who could endure you, who are in love with old women and old men, and wipe the old women's noses, and wash them and give them presents, and also wait on them like a slave when they are sick, and at the same time wish them dead, and question the physicians whether they are sick unto death? And again, when in order to obtain these great and much admired magistracies and honors, you kiss the hands of these slaves of others, and so you are not the slave even of free men. Then you walk about before me in stately fashion a praetor or a consul. Do I not know how you became a praetor, by what means you got your consulship, who gave it to you? I would not even choose to live, if I must live by help of Felician and endure his arrogance and servile insolence, for I know what a slave is, who is fortunate, as he thinks, and puffed up by pride,